This week's reading follows on from last week. We have just heard the 3 nature miracles that Mark records in the end of chapter 4 and through 5. So Jesus calming a storm, that Old Testament metaphor of chaos and just not great creation in the sea. So calming the storm, also calming the storm in a person by casting out evil spirits from a man who is possessed of so many of them. And then, of course, last week we heard about the healing of the woman who touches Jesus' cloak, wrapped around the story of Jairus' daughter, who ends up being raised from the dead. So 3 amazing nature miracles. And now our reading begins in Mark chapter 6, verses 1 to 13. Jesus left that place and went back to his hometown, followed by his disciples. On the Sabbath, he began to teach in the synagogue. Many people were there, and when they heard him, they were all amazed. "Where did he get all this?" they asked. "What wisdom is this that has been given to him? How does he perform miracles? Isn't he the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? Aren't his sisters living here?" And so they rejected him. Jesus said to them, "A prophet is respected everywhere except in his own hometown and by his relatives and his family." He was not able to perform any miracles there, except that he placed his hands on a few sick people and healed them. He was greatly surprised because the people did not have faith. Then Jesus went to the villages round there, teaching the people. He called the 12 disciples together and sent them out 2 by 2. He gave them authority over the evil spirits and ordered them, "Don't take anything with you on your journey except a stick. No bread, no beggar's bag, no money in your pockets. Wear sandals, but don't carry an extra shirt." He also said, "Wherever you are welcomed, stay in the same house until you leave that place. If you come to a town where people do not welcome you or will not listen to you, leave it and shake the dust off your feet. That will be a warning to them." So they went out and preached that people should turn away from their sins. They drove out many demons and rubbed olive oil on many sick people and healed them. So, an interesting story, again, of rejection. And it's the second time that his family have come seeking Jesus and thinking that he's doing something crazy, because familiarity breeds contempt. Jesus goes back to his hometown. The news about all the miracles have spread, and he is recognized not just as a carpenter, but as some significant teacher, and that's why he's invited to speak at the synagogue. Everyone is amazed, blown away by what he does and what he says, but then there's that seed of, "Yeah, but don't we know him?" And one's expectations of someone great are never going to be somebody who you know, who has grown up, or whose family you know, or who's done work for you, as is suggested in the reading here. So they can't find it in their hearts or their minds to think that he is anything other than the little boy they remember running in the streets. And because of that, nothing great can happen. When it says that Jesus can't perform any miracles there, again, that's because people's hearts and minds are closed to the reality of God in their presence. They simply cannot conceive that Jesus can be bringing anything other than familiar messages from a fellow townsperson. Jesus then sends out the disciples on a missionary journey, 2 by 2, reminiscent of the animals going into the ark. They go out with more instructions in Matthew and Luke's Gospel. We're not really told too much in Mark's Gospel about what they're told to say. Elsewhere, we hear how they're told to proclaim the good news, not just to turn away from their sins. And this idea about going out light on your feet, Not necessarily in terms of sacrifice, but because of the urgency of the work. Don't hang around preparing, don't pack lots of things, just get out there and do it. Go and tell people the urgent situation that, as was recorded in Mark 1, chapter 1, verse 15, the right time has come and the kingdom of heaven is near, or even at hand. Turn away from your sins and believe the good news, because Jesus is here and he is walking amongst them. So they go out and preach, and they drive out demons and they rub olive oil on people. There's no actual sense of olive oil ever being put on people by Jesus, but it was a sign of blessing from God. So it's very interesting, that little nuance, the idea that the disciples would go out and bless people with oil, and because of their response to that, then the healing power of Jesus can work within them, as was the case with the woman and the raising of Jairus' daughter. So, interesting passages that talk again, after such amazing miracles, again of human fallibility, of the inability of people to see what is wonderful right before them because it's not what they expected. Now, we've seen this many times with the religious authorities, but here we have it with his own townspeople. So it's not just people who have preconceptions based on their own tradition or their own expectations, but it's also about people who just are familiar. That's another barrier, if you like, to coming into a relationship with God: familiarity. People often say this of people who've gone to church for many, many years. It's somewhat easier for people to come new into a relationship with God than those perhaps who grew up in that context, always knowing, always hearing, but never quite feeling that it comes to them fresh because it's always been there. So, interesting ideas about relationships with God. So, it's kind of interesting, that familiarity thing. And I guess in terms of our own witness, that's helpful, because obviously when you try and live out your Christian understanding, which is love for all, you're going to start within your context where people know you. And it is easier to go to a completely new place where people don't know you, have no expectations of you, to then take you at face value. And that's an interesting lesson for those of us who try and witness in our local context to people who've known us for a long time. We can expect that people might think, well, hold on a moment. What's going on here in your life? What's the motivation behind what you're doing, rather than just accepting it for what it is? In terms of sending out the 12 disciples, I'm not really told too much about that. And it's kind of an apocryphal thing that Jesus did this. It didn't really make much difference to them, because we know that when they came back, they're not self-sufficient missionaries. They're not fully fledged, confident evangelists. They're still the same disciples who keep misinterpreting things, getting things wrong. But Jesus gave them the authority to do that, and they stepped out in enough faith to try it. And in his name, hence the rubbing of olive oil, they were able to achieve some amazing things. And that too is true for us, of course. That if we do things in God's name, if we do things with God's motivation, if we do that believing in the power of God, then we can do great things too, in terms of creating new relationships, building people up, yes, and bringing healing, certainly mental, if not physical, or even that perhaps. But to be there for people, to bring the kingdom of heaven into people's lives, is something that we can do when we step out, believing and understanding that we go in the power of God.